Chapter 1 The Creation. Begin all acts and thinking by using Kuluwm the All. Tablet 3 The Story of Lucifer. 19 times 1 equals 19. Hello, my children. Let me warn you about Lucifer and his host. Do not fall into the delicacies of Lucifer and his host. O you who are faithful, reject Lucifer and his companions. He, Lucifer, comes in many forms to trick and deceive you, the faithful ones. Lucifer, the evil reptilian who is also called Haylal or Samael, was number 3 of his order. When he was commissioned by Murdoch, he was designated as one of the 100 most able and brilliant personalities in a more than 700,000 of his kind. However, from such a magnificent beginning, through evil and error, he encouraged disagreeable acts. Lucifer was so self-nourished to the point of self-deception. He actually persuaded himself that his contemplation of rebelliousness was actually good for the system, if not the universe. Lucifer became insincere and evil evolved into deliberate and willful disagreeable acts. Lucifer believed that the universal father did not exist, and that physical gravity and space energy were inherent in the universe. He believed that the sustainer was a myth that was invented by the Seraphat to enable them to maintain rule over the universe in their father's name. Lucifer believed the universal system should be autonomous or self-governing and independent. He protested against the right of Murdoch, who also bore the title Michael, who dares to be like El, the grandson of the Most High Anu, the Heavenly One. He was willing to acknowledge Murdoch as his creator father, but not his rightful ruler. He had claimed that the whole plan of worship was a clever scheme to glorify the Illyuwn. He had totally rebelled against the order of Anu, the Most High, the highest, and caused mischief and war in the heavens. This was not the first war. The first war was with his father Hubur, or Tarnush, against Murdoch. Tablet 4 The War in the Skies. 19 times 3 equals 57. Lo, the first conflict was in the skies of Illyuwn, the 19th galaxy, also called the Great Galaxy, known as the Place on High, where the etheric records called the Akasha records are kept. The first conflict was when Tarnush, also known as Hubur, son of Tagut and Sin, tried to take over Illyuwn. Dallas wanted to rule the stars and the Anunnaki of the skies. Tarnush was second in command under Murdoch, son of Enki and Damkina. Tarnush felt that Murdoch was not qualified for leading the fleets of his grandfather Anu. During this time, the planet Titan, which is considered a moon of the planet Saturn, was the home base of Hubur, who is also called Cronus, and Saturn, husband of Ops, companion of the fire goddess Lua, father of Picus. His reigning period was called Saturnalia, and to this day it's celebrated between December 17th and December 25th. Those under Cronus were claiming Anshar, foremost of the heavens, which is today called Saturn, which is the astrological sign of Anshar, father of Anu, as their home base. The ring planet named Saturn rotates very quickly. It takes 10 hours and 40 minutes for it to turn once on its axis. Saturn bulges even more at its equator than Jupiter. Saturn has a very deep atmosphere, which is made up mainly of hydrogen and helium, with some methane and ammonia. At the top of its atmosphere, the temperature is about -300 Fahrenheit. This low temperature causes ammonia in the outer atmosphere to freeze, forming high-altitude haze. More and more space probes from NASA are being sent into space. Due to the curiosity of mankind, they are trying to rediscover what took place long ago in the heavens. Space probes to Saturn are being sent to various planets and moons such as the Cassini that was sent in 1997 AD, filled with 72 pounds of high radioactive plutonium. The probe being named after Giovanni Domenico Cassini, an Italian-born French astronomer. The planet Titan was the home base of the disagreeable Anunnaki, which were divided into 12 continents. The Greeks named them 1. Oceanus, 2. Crius, 3. Coeus, 4. Iapetus, 5. Kronos, 6. Hyperion, 7. Rhea, 8. Mnemosyne, 9. Thea, 10. Themis, 11. Tethys, 12. Phoebe. The disagreeable Anunnaki made Titan an alternative when they were cast out, and the capital was Phoebe, from whence you get the word phobia, the irrational fear of a specific thing or situation to avoid or dislike, or an aversion. The space satellite Phobos of Mars was also named after the 12th continent Phoebe of Titan. This is the mystical 12 tribes of Israel, the 12 tribes of Ishmael, the 12 signs of the zodiac under the Olympian deities. Zeus as Jesus, born in the 12th month of the Gregorian calendar with 12 disciples, who became Zeus and Yeshua to Jehovah. However, some of these disagreeable Anunnaki took residence on one of the 3 continents of the planet of Risk, the continent called Zarantu. They were restricted from visiting the other 2 continents, Danaria and Kusmusta, without a Riskian escort. There was immigration laws set up. However, Riskians can visit all 3 continents unescorted. Zarantu was under the commander Tarnush, who wanted total control of Risk. However, Murdoch was chosen by Anu to lead the fleet, and this caused a disagreement between Murdoch and Tarnush. Anu's decision for Murdoch to lead Anu's fleets caused a disagreement between Murdoch and Tarnush, which caused a small war and a clash on the planet Risk, which comes from the word Razaka, meaning to provide. Tarnush, also known as Humbaba, attacked the planet Risk with a shield depleter aerosol, a gaseous suspension of fine solid or liquid particles. This substance can today be found in such produce as paint, detergent, or an insecticide, packaged under pressure with gaseous propellant for release and spray of fine particles. Today, the children of the Luciferians are using the same tactics here on Earth to deplete the ozone, or shield of this planet. The aerosol bomb of Tarnush comes from the root word aero, or air, simply meaning air, atmosphere, aeroballistics, and a gas. Aerosol from the Greek word for air, meaning air, and the word sol, meaning sun. So you get air-o for omega, ending, and sol, sun, just like the destruction of the atmosphere of the sons of Risk. This same epidemic is also being done here on Earth. This aerosol bomb of Tarnush caused the natural atmosphere of Risk to deplete. The Riskians had no protection from the damaging rays of the 3 suns. The atmosphere was dwindling away, and many Riskians departed to other galaxies. The rays of the 3 suns, Utu, Shamus, and Afsu, had put a hole in our ozone layer, as you now have a hole in your ozone layer over Australia, expanding daily. Risk, the 8th planet, was the heart and source of that tri-solar system, and thus was the most affected, as Earth is the heart of this solar system. All 3 suns have a magnetic pull that causes a tighter and heavier rotation of its planets. The energy field on Risk was starting to increase, and the hole was starting to lose its color. So the Riskians needed to build a protection, a dome of gold dust to protect the planet from the damaging ultraviolet rays. Gold reflects the sun's rays. Pure gold can easily be beaten or hammered into a thickness thinner than paper, and can be stretched for more than 60 miles long. It can be made thinner than any metal. This is one of the reasons why gold is a very precious metal and is greatly valued by Humims today. It is one of the softest metals, and it is a good conductor of electricity and heat, and it can be easily vaporized better than any metal. Gold is also capable of reflecting intense heat and holds up under any condition. Having this and much more advanced knowledge about pure gold, other metals and minerals, the Riskians knew exactly what they were coming for. Gold, having existed since the creation of the planet Earth as you know it, can be found deep in the Earth's crust, volcanic ash, as well as in vast oceans of this planet. Anu and other Elohim knew that the gold of the Earth was good long before the birth of man. The Riskians had to abort Risk and go to Kessel Orion, which is a 6-star, 6-major sun constellation, thus having hundreds of galaxies. The Riskians took residence in the planets and star constellations of Mazzaroth, Aish, Arcturus, and Gamma Pleiades, making them also temporary homes. Exploration was necessary, thus the grafting of explorers became a necessity. This need gave birth to the Ramadians, later to become known as Greys. These extraterrestrial biological entities, EBEs, were grafted from various extraterrestrial species. They were emotionless and without reproductive capabilities. They served but one purpose, and that is as explorers and worthy servants. Their explorations took them to Lahmu, Mars, and Sheshki, called the Moon, where their plans for constructions of cylinder crafts called Shams were built. This took place after the collision with the crafts called the Ninga Fleet, also known as the Four Winds. They transported gold dust to the Moon, then to Nibiru, and from there onto Planet Risk. When this was completed, these beings were given their freedom. They chose Pleiades and Arcturus as their home. Malevolent Luciferian-type reptilians chose to conquer them and enslave them by performing biological experiments, thereby creating hybrids of them, and they used them as explorers to this planet, and they still control some of them to this very day. Those that took their freedom reside in the Canis Major star constellation near Sept, also called Sophis, which is Sirius, the dog star, having 2 major and 6 minor suns, Zeta Reticuli, just south of the Orion Belt. These Greys, sought union with beings of Earth, having a common enemy, Lucifer, who controls 70 of their empires. As a great warrior, the Riskians engaged Murdoch's services. They needed somebody who was a warrior type to go and seek out the gold and transport it by Nibiru to Risk. The Riskians were being ambushed by Reptilians, and at that time Murdoch was a disagreeable Yahwehan, or what you would call a warrior. So he was chosen to lead this mission, which first had to be started by attacking Humbaba. Murdoch was given the Tilu weapon, a red beam of light, or a light beam ray gun, from the gemstone Sardius, a laser that was created by his grandfather Anu to stop Tarnush in his disagreeable ways. He succeeded in his mission. The gold was being transported by cylinder-shaped crafts, 30 to 60 miles in size. They were assembled on Lahmu, Mars, and parked on the dark side of Sheshki, the moon. The smaller craft were 1.5 miles by 2 miles. They had androids called robotoids that would scout out the mineral of the planet controlled by the Ramadians. So, Humbaba and his followers who supported him, which was 1/3 of Risk, were cast out and was never to return there. Humbaba had taken residence in the planet Titan, which is considered a moon of Saturn, with a breed of reptilian beings. The largest of Saturn's 18 known satellites is Titan. The diameter of Titan, including its atmosphere, is 3,400 miles. This satellite in your solar system has a thick atmosphere and is about 2 and 1.5 times as dense as that of Earth. Titan's atmosphere is mostly nitrogen, with small amounts of methane and other hydrogen compounds. Humbaba and his followers were mammalia, any various warm-blooded reptile animals of the class of mammals, from late Latin mammalis, from the breast, from Latin mamma, meaning breast. This mixture bred human-looking snakes called serpent people who speak with a whisper. Because of the damage that Tarnush had done to the planet Risk, the Riskians started expeditions looking for gold. Murdoch and a group of the Anunnaki were chosen to seek this gold, which they knew could be found in abundance on the planet Tiamat, meaning Maiden of Life. They made many trips in a mothercraft called Nibiru, which means planet of the crossing, or that which crosses the skies. So Murdoch found minerals in Tiamat, and he set up a base on Lahmu, meaning the deity of war, today called Mars. He also went to the dark side of Sheshki, where people had already lived under the rule of Luna or Lunar, who originally came from Gaga, Pluto. The planet Gaga Pluto at the time was an emissary of Anshar Saturn before it was thrown into its own wobbling orbit when one of the satellites of Nibiru crashed into the planet Tiamat, now called Earth. Those were some of the planets that were on Nibiru's regular routes. The planet Tiamat was a regular stop-off as well, along with the planet Mars, which to the Romans is known as the father of Romulus and Remus. He was a consort of Rhea Silvia, the god of war, originally called Mars Silvanus, god of desolate places. Silvanus was symbolized as a half-man, half-goat, the father of war, symbolic of the ancient Egypt deity Ra, the symbol of the ram deity of the sun, fertility of life and growth, which is pronounced as Re, as in the rays of the sun. The reverse of the word Mars is rams, and the inversion of the word Mars is wars, a symbol of blood, called the red planet, also called Almiric, the long arrow symbol of war. Other names for it is Alcanas and Bara. Mars's distance from the sun is 142 million miles. Its diameter is 40,022 miles. The time Mars takes to orbit the sun is 680 days. The time Mars spends on its axis is 24 hours and 37 minutes. Its tilt on its axis is 25.2 degrees. Mars shines in the sky with a reddish color and is sometimes called the red planet. The orbit of Mars is more oval than that of Earth. Mars's thin atmosphere is made up almost entirely of carbon dioxide. Temperature on the planet's equator may occasionally reach 60 Fahrenheit. However, during the shadow hours, temperatures can drop to nearly -202 Fahrenheit. Tons and tons of rocket fuel could be synthesized out of Mars air, making traveling to and from Mars even easier than trips to the moon. The Martian soil also contains an abundance of gypsum, which can be baked by adding some Martian water and iron-rich dust. On Earth, this is cement. It has two moons, one called Phobos, 19 miles at its widest point, and it circles the planet at a distance of 2,462 miles. Phobos completes its orbit in about 7.5 hours, which is less time than it takes Mars to turn once on its axis. The other, Deimos, is 12 miles at its widest point, and it circles Mars at a distance of 14,700 miles. Both Phobos and Deimos were born by meteorites, captured as asteroids in its orbit. Here you will find prototypes of Homo sapiens, thus the word parthenogenic, which explains that at this site, where there are pyramids and ruins of temples of the Anunnaki, were used for the cloning of Homo erectus to Homo sapiens, called the Adama Project. This is where the face of Cadmon can be found. Today the site is called Sidonia, or Sidonia, from Sidon, the first son of Canaan, father of the Albinos, the cursed seed of Ham. Sidon is and means the fortress and is fortified. His wife was Jinnah. This is why today astronomers are interested in the planet Mars, because they have discovered that life existed there before, and that there is a possibility that they might be able to bring human life to that planet again with its Martian atmosphere.